Computers and the internet have changed the way we live and learn. We work, shop, communicate, share pictures and video, research information, and play games online. Many schools and districts have embraced the new technologies and are using them to improve education services and instruction. Today we're going to talk about your responsibility as teachers and administrators for student privacy when using online educational resources. Because the fact is, no matter where student records reside, they should still be protected. Let's take a look at the ways teachers, administrators, and staff can practice good data management when using online educational apps and services. Then, we'll talk about how you can protect the privacy and security of student data when using these types of services in your schools and districts. Before using educational apps or services, it is important to learn about the variety of federal, state, and local laws impose requirements and restrictions on how student data can be used, and the conditions under which it can be shared with application developers or online service providers. Let's examine some key privacy laws that may apply. The first is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA. FERPA is a federal law which protects the privacy of student education records. Most public schools and districts are required by law to comply with FERPA. Simply put, FERPA restricts how PII, that's personally identifiable information, from education records may be released without the parent's consent. FERPA may allow schools to disclose certain information, like students' name, date of birth, or photos, without consent as directory information. This is often done in school yearbooks and athletic programs. A school may provide directory information without consent to third parties, such as service providers, only if they publicly notify parents about its directory information policy. This notice has a number of requirements, like it must state what personal information is considered directory information, and that parents have a right to opt out. But be careful, because parents can opt out at a later time, so using directory information with online services can be tricky. Another FERPA provision that permits PII from education records to be disclosed to third parties without consent is the school official exception. Schools often use this exception to outsource IT and other institutional functions. It is sometimes advantageous to outsource school functions to save money or to get better services. If your school outsources under FERPA's school official exception, you must make sure that the third party is providing a service or function that the school would otherwise provide itself, and you must be sure to retain direct control over the use and maintenance of the information you disclose. Sorry, FERPA isn't the only federal law in question. Let's briefly review a few others that might apply. Another law is the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA. It applies to websites, apps, and online services that collect information from children who are under the age of 13. COPPA requires verifiable parental consent prior to collecting personal information from children online. In some cases, like when a student must use a website or an app for school and there is no commercial purpose, COPPA allows schools to exercise consent on behalf of parents. In addition to FERPA and COPPA, other federal laws may apply, like the Protection of Pupil Rights Amendment, or PPRA, and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. While we are not discussing them here, these other laws may impose additional requirements on your use of online apps or services. As you might expect, not all laws apply in all circumstances. To spare yourself a headache, spend a little time researching which requirements apply to your particular situation before signing up for a new service. Oh, and don't forget about the laws in your own state. They may apply as well. You may wonder, does FERPA allow schools to share PII from education records with online service providers? Yes, FERPA does allow you to share PII from educational records with online providers in some instances. With prior written parental consent, it's always acceptable to share PII from education records through the directory information exception and under the school official exception. But remember, officials can only use PII from education records to perform the specific service or function that you directed them to provide. We just reviewed how FERPA protects students' education records, but the truth is that FERPA may not apply to all of the data collected by online service providers. That is why you must pay close attention to written agreements, contracts, and terms of service. If your school or school district wants to use third-party online educational services, it is important to get your ducks in a row and create a proper written agreement. Even if it's not required, it is always best to create one. A written agreement sets expectations for necessary security controls, as well as specifying data collection, use, redisclosure, and retention and destruction procedures. Your contract should specify how long the agreements will last and how they can be modified or terminated. When drafting a written agreement, remember all applicable legal requirements. This process may be difficult, but a little pain now can save a lot of pain later. So far, we covered what you should do when contracting for online services in a conventional manner through a written agreement. Increasingly, however, online services and applications use a licensing model known as click-through or click-wrap, where you can sign up by simply clicking a button or a checkbox to accept the terms of service. This can lead to potential problems. Meet Ms. Jones, a high school teacher. She just found a great new app to help kids with math through games. Her students love to play games, and the app is free. More and more teachers like Ms. Jones are making use of apps and online services. Many providers offer innovative and helpful content, often for free. But be wary that sometimes the saying, "nothing is free," might apply. Some apps require the acceptance of terms of service. These can be long, boring, and full of complicated legal language. Ms. Jones needs to fully understand what she is agreeing to in the terms of service. We may not think of clicking an accept button as the same thing as signing a written contract, but they can be legally binding agreements. For these reasons and more, Ms. Jones should talk to the appropriate individuals about the school's policies and procedures before signing up for the app. Administrators should review the app and the terms of service to make sure it won't adversely affect student privacy or the security of the school's systems. If your school or school district doesn't already have a process for reviewing and approving apps and online services for classroom use, you should create one. Here are a few suggestions for reviewing apps or services that use a click-wrap agreement. Identify who within your school or district will be responsible for approving the use of apps and services. Create an easy way for faculty to receive feedback about third-party apps or services they would like to use in the classroom. Use this process to screen out those that may pose security or privacy risks. Read through terms of service carefully. They may be long and full of legalese, so talk to your administrative or legal team to help make sense of them. Print and save a copy of the terms of service for your records. Online providers sometimes include provisions in the terms which enable them to change the terms at will. Check often to ensure that the terms have not been changed unacceptably. Technology in classrooms can improve education by expanding our knowledge, communication, and productivity. But as we enjoy these new tools, we must be mindful of the risks they bring and follow best practices to secure and protect students' private information. We have discussed how to protect privacy when using online educational services, but there is a lot more to know. Talk to your school or school district administrators about local policies and procedures for using online services. Also, check out the U.S. Department of Education's Privacy Technical Assistance Center website at ptac.ed.gov for more information on protecting student privacy while using online educational services.